What's up everybody, Jared here with carbuzz.com, and today I'm going to be driving the new 2022 Audi RS3. We're going to take this turbo blue car out on the roads just about an hour outside of Nevada, and then we're going to be taking this Cayenne green car out on the racetrack because this is fitted with the Dynamic Plus package. But before we get either of these two cars out on the road, I'm going to be giving you a brief walk around and explaining what is so cool about the RS3. So this is of course based on the all-new A3 and S3s, but the RS3 is the most hardcore performance model. You're going to get Bridgestone Potenza R tires, or over there on this car, we've got a much more aggressive Trofeo R tire available for just $450. This is basically a racing slick. We've also got carbon ceramic brakes as part of a $4,500 Dynamic Plus package. So this one is just more catered to the racetrack, whereas this is a little bit more comfortable and more livable on the street, as we'll see a little bit later. Obviously, this car comes in some outrageously fun colors. I love this turbo blue. I'm also a big fan of the Cayenne green. That is a really cool color as well. This car starts at about $58,000. I think it's $58,900, which is really not bad. It's only a little bit more than a CLA 45, but you get a lot more standard equipment inside. I'm going to go ahead and show you the interior. Again, if you want a more in-depth deep dive on the interior, I have that video. Be sure to go and check out our channel. In this video, I'm mainly going to show you the highlights, and we're going to get this car out on the road. But the highlights of the interior are these amazing seats that are nicer than what you're going to get on an S3, or definitely nicer than an A3. I love Audi's hexagonal stitch marks here with the RS logo is very cool. We also get this nice perforated leather steering wheel, although if you get a $1,500 design pack, which we have on that car, be sure to check out the deep dive video for that. You're going to get an Alcantara suede steering wheel. But here's what I've got to show you on the inside, because this is important before we drive. So let's go ahead and start it up. So I've done kind of a deep dive of this gauge cluster here in that other video, but in this video, I just want to talk to you about the different drive modes, because they are going to come into play here when we get the car out on the road. So you have your normal Audi Drive Select down here. You basically hit this button and that's going to pull up this screen where you can go from comfort, auto, and dynamic. So that's going to change the throttle, engine, steering, things like that. Basically what they do in almost every other Audi model. But the RS has these two modes here. You've got RS Individual. So this is going to let you kind of cater everything here. So you've got your RS torque splitter, which I'll talk about in a minute. You've got your drive, sport, or balance, suspension. So you can get a standard suspension here, or you can have the adaptive suspension, which is what we have on this car. You can make that comfortable, balanced, or sporty. It doesn't have quite as many modes as like the Volkswagen GTI does, but Audi tells me that's because they wouldn't put in modes that you couldn't feel a difference on. And as we'll see out on the road, you can really feel a difference between comfortable, balanced, and sport here. The steering, same thing. Engine, quiet, automatic, trust me, you want present, and then you can control the traction control on or in sporty mode. So that is the individual mode, or you can put it in RS Performance, which is going to be like the sportiest version of this car. Limited traction control, everything in max attack. You can also get to those RS modes very quickly just using this button here on the steering wheel. You can kind of cycle through auto, individual, and performance with this cool RS button. That is very cool. I love being able to just click a button on the steering wheel very quickly. We've also got this RS Torque Rear mode. Now this is going to tell you do not use on public roads, because it basically switches off the traction control. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later and also demonstrate how it works later on in this video. But basically that is going to turn this RS3 from an all-wheel drive vehicle into a full rear drive vehicle where you can do some massive slides. So in the evening, Audi set up this drift track and let us have at it. So later on in this video, you're going to get to see what it's like to slide around this all-wheel drive car. I promise you, it is really cool. So that is basically all of the highlights here, because I'll talk to you about the engine and the performance of this car when we get it out on the road. So let's go ahead and hop into this turbo blue car and see how it feels out on the road. All right, so now that I've explained the 2022 Audi RS3, let's go ahead and get it out on the road, because this is an RS car, the sportiest kind that Audi builds. You want to know how it drives. And you can't talk about the RS3 without talking about the engine. It is such a special power unit. It's a 2.5 liter, 5-cylinder. Nobody else besides Audi and other Volkswagen Group brands use 5-cylinder engines anymore. And that is kind of a shame, because, oh my goodness, listen to this engine. Woohoo! Oh, yeah, it makes such a grunty noise, especially when you downshift. Oh, I love it. This 5-cylinder is the same one that they had in the last generation RS3 and the TT RS, but it makes more power now. It's 401 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, and Audi says that there's not actually any mechanical changes there. They've been able to do all of that power increase with just software changes. Now, that is going out to Quattro all-wheel drive, but I'm going to talk a lot more about that all-wheel drive system. Through a 7-speed S-tronic, that's what Audi calls their dual clutch transmission. So I love the Audi dual clutch transmission. It just, such quick shifts up or down, incredible shift speeds when you're going flat out. I think that this feels just a little bit more special to me than some of the bigger RS cars like the RS7 and RS6, which have 8-speed automatic transmissions that are not dual clutches. Sorry, I have the GPS going at the moment. And because of this dual clutch transmission and having 400 horsepower, and this car only weighs about 3,600 pounds, Audi says it'll do 0 to 60 in about 3.6 seconds. That is really, really quick for a 400 horsepower car. Like, this thing just puts its power down so well. And in fact, I'm going to pull over right here and we're going to do a launch control.
You have reached your stopover.
Because we've reached our stopover, so why not? Let's come to a complete
Please
stop.
follow the road for 5 miles.
Foot on the brake, foot on the gas. Ready? Launch control. Oh, is that launch control active? Let's see. Come on. Maybe I have to have traction control off. All right, let's try it now. There we go. Ready? Here we go. Oh my goodness! And it doesn't do the first shift for you. Oh, I gotta try that again, but realize that I have to do the first shift. Wow, that gets off the line so quick. Oh my goodness. Man, it really just pulls and pulls and pulls. And the base RS3 is gonna be limited. Your top speed, I think it's 155 miles an hour. But if you get the dynamic package, which also gets you carbon ceramic brakes, that is going to up your top speed to 180 miles an hour, which is a really, really fast top speed. I mentioned you get carbon ceramic brakes in that package as well. Even if you don't get those, you still are getting 6-piston front calipers. And we're going to drive this car out on the track a little bit later, and boy, oh boy, it is really good with the ceramic brakes. If you're planning on tracking it, I'd probably recommend that. And you can also get a super sticky Pirelli P0R compound tire. So that's basically like a slick tire that you would use for racing. It is amazing. I wouldn't get that if you're just planning on like daily driving this car, but it is pretty wicked. All right, we're gonna try a launch control again. Ready? There we go, launch activated. Ready, go. Oh my God, little bit of, oh, what a power shift from first to second. Oh my God. Wow, you get like a little bit of wiggle from the front actually as it's trying to kind of struggle for grip and kind of move the power front to back to launch you. But wow, once it settles, oh my God, it's like a gut punch. And especially that 1-2 shift, boom, really punches hard. Oh, that sounds good. I wish it was a little louder. It sounds great at full tilt. I kind of wish just a little bit more of that was coming into the cabin. We do have a variable exhaust. It is going to get louder when you play around with all the different drive modes that I showed you. I currently have it in its like sportiest drive mode, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off just so I can talk to you a little bit more about how this car feels normally when you're driving it around. It actually is quite efficient. You're gonna get about 20 mpg city, 29 highway, which is not bad. Average of about 23 combined, really not bad at all for a 400 horsepower car. And now that I've put it in comfort, we've got the adaptive dampers. You can get fixed dampers on this car. I think I would go for the adaptive because when I'm in comfort mode right now, it's quiet, it's pretty comfy. When the road gets really jittery, you can feel that this is an RS car, that it's quite firm. But it is nowhere near as stiff as the Mercedes-Benz AMG CLA 35, or 45, I mean. I thought that car was obnoxiously stiff. I'm not getting that from the RS3, and that's just kind of an Audi RS trademark. Sporty driving, but without the ridiculously stiff suspension. That's, I think, why you buy an Audi RS car versus like an AMG or an M car. But that's not to say that this car can't absolutely haul. So I mentioned that this car has quattro all-wheel drive, like an S3 does, but this is a lot more advanced. This has something that Audi calls the RS torque splitter at the back. It's the very first Audi model to get this feature. Now, basically what that's going to do is it's going to replace your standard rear differential with an electronically controlled multi-disc clutch on each of the drive shafts. And what that can do is it can send power, torque vectoring from the left to the right up to like 100%. It is incredible. Basically, what that's going to do is make this all-wheel drive car almost feel like it's a rear-wheel drive car. It's absolutely crazy. Like, and you can feel it out on the road, but you really feel it out on the racetrack, which is where I really have to get this car. It's such a cool thing, and it does have a drift mode, if you're wondering. Basically, so there's another mode that I showed you, RS Drift. What that's going to do is it's going to maximize the power to the outside wheel when you're turning the wheel, and you can basically pull amazing drifts. And rather than just talk about that, I've got to show you it. So we're going to get the RS3 out on the racetrack, and we're also going to show you that cool drift mode. But just to sum up what we've noticed here on the road, very comfortable, livable for an RS car. I'm actually very surprised at how comfortable it is. The sound is great. That 5-cylinder engine, you're not going to be able to get it much longer. This is probably going to be the last time Audi does this engine. And this is just a super fun, rowdy experience. If you have a WRX STI, a Mustang, a Hyundai Elantra N, and you're making more money, or you want something more comfortable, more premium, more luxurious, the RS3 is probably the car that you need to look at. Now, let's get it out on the track.
Now turn left.
And then turn left. All right, so as I promised earlier in the video, I'm going to show you the RS torque mode. This is basically drift mode. We've got the pro driver here to show us how this really works. All right.
You ready?
Yes, I am. Woo! Oh, that back steps out! Woo-hoo-hoo! Woohoo! Man, that's crazy. Unbelievable. All right, now let's get the Audi RS3 out on the racetrack and see what this 401 horsepower, 5-cylinder turbocharged beast is all about. We have the performance pack car. We've got all the goodies that you can get on the RS3. We've got the super slick Pirelli Trofeo R tires that stick to the road like glue. We've got 6-piston front brakes, but because we have that performance pack, they are carbon ceramics, which means no fade out here on the racetrack. You can slam them. You come to a screeching halt. This car is such a fun delight. It's super small. We've only got about 3,600 pounds of curb weight, and whoo, with 400 horsepower, it goes. here on those brakes hard. All right, we've got this late apex corner. We're gonna come around it late, and then we're gonna power out. Oh, there we go. All right, so I wasn't in the full performance mode before. I was only in like a dynamic mode, and I can notice a very noticeable difference now that it's fully optimized on the settings here. We've got pretty light steering. That is something very, very typical of Audi. Audi likes to do steering that is not super heavy. I love the feel of the steering wheel. It's very light. We're coming through, this is like a cool down section. They kind of repaved the track here, so I can kind of slow down and tell you a little bit more about it. So, as we've talked about before, 3.6 seconds to 60, but I think that's like conservative. 180 mile an hour top speed is what you unlock if you get this performance pack, which is pretty cool. All right, here we go again. Oh my God, I love that engine. Brakes, oh man, the carbon ceramics are so good. The steering, while light, is precise enough that I can really feel like what this front end is doing. So much power, hard on the brakes again. It rotates super well, all-wheel drive, but because we've got that RS torque splitter at the back, it just feels like you're driving almost like a rear-wheel drive car, even though it's not. This is an all-wheel drive car. You power out of it, and you can feel that power, you know, being split between those rear wheels so evenly. It's just so nicely balanced, and you have the different drive modes. You can kind of have it in the mode we have, which is optimized for the racetrack, or if you just want to slide around, there's a drift mode. So I'm going to hopefully show you that a little bit later. Again, this steering, Audi does not do the best steering, I would say, but it's pretty good. This is one of the better Audi steering racks I've ever tested. Not quite as communicative to me as that RS e-tron GT, which is, of course, shares a lot more with Porsche, but compared to something like an RS6 or an RS7, which is like a much bigger car, this is pretty darn good, this steering. Even in its heaviest setting, it's really not all that heavy. All right, we're gonna come down through the cool down one more time. I love the size too. Like, it's just like the perfect size. You know, you've got a small back seat, so you can kind of live with it on a day-to-day basis. This is an incredible canyon carving experience. And then if you do want to take it out on the racetrack, ooh, you've got that special engine, this 2.5 liter 5-cylinder. Listen to it. Woohoo! It makes such a nice growl now that they gave it its own RS exhaust specifically for this model. Oh my God, I can't believe how quick it can go through that little kink there. It's so maneuverable. And then those brakes, you can give it some throttle and it'll rotate. I'm never lacking for grip here. Just so much grip from those sticky Pirelli tires. Hard on those brakes. They hold up just fine. No turbo lag in this mode. Like, I noticed it before where it was just, you know, it would just be caught flat-footed a little bit, but oh, there we go. You just punch it and the power is there, which is incredible for such a small displacement engine. So it doesn't really matter if you're going to just drive this car around every day or if you're going to take it to a track. It's just an all-around hoot of a time. I love the RS3. This might be one of my new favorite RS cars, right up there with the RS e-tron GT. All right, so that was the 2022 Audi RS3. Pricing starts at $58,900, and honestly, I wouldn't be upset if I just got the base model. I think you get plenty of stuff as standard on this car, but let's talk about some of the options. There's a tech package that's gonna get you Bang & Olufsen audio and a head-up display for $2,750. I would definitely get that. You can get the RS Design interior. It's $1,500. It's going to take that interior I showed you earlier and add some green accents here, green air vents. You get that suede steering wheel. For $1,500, if you want to go for the green look, I don't think that is a bad way to spend your money. You've got the black optic package for $750. It's going to get you these all black wheels. It's going to get you the black Audi logos and the black badging in the back. Again, not a bad option for $750. That's pretty cheap. $2,750 is going to get you the carbon fiber package. So you get some carbon fiber here on the mirrors, and down here on the diffuser is also carbon fiber. I'd skip that one for $2,750. $5,500 is going to get you the Dynamic Plus package. That's going to get you the ceramic larger brakes, the 180 mile an hour top speed, a carbon fiber engine cover. It's good. It's just, if you're not going to track it, don't get that package. It's a waste of $5,000 in my opinion. If you're going to track it, by all means, go ahead and get the carbon ceramic brakes. $450 for the Trofeo R tires. Again, if you're going to track it, go ahead and get those. If you are not going to touch a Racetrack, definitely skip them. And then $1,000 for the sports exhaust. I don't think I got to drive one that doesn't have the sports exhaust option, so I can't really comment on whether or not it's like worth it and really makes it louder. Honestly, the engine on this sounds really good, but I wish it was just a little bit louder. So what I would do is just skip the sport exhaust and go to a Krapovic or somebody that makes like a really nice loud exhaust for this, because I know that this car can make a supercar noise if that is what you so desire. But that is my review of the 2022 Audi RS3. I think if I were shopping in this segment, I had an STI or an Evo or something lower down the totem pole of performance, and I wanted that next step up, something nicer that I can take the kids in, take the wife in, my husband, if you're whatever your family situation is, this car is very comfortable. They won't be uncomfortable riding around in it, taking the kids to school, and the price is really not that bad for all of the performance you're getting. I hope you've really enjoyed this review of the 2022 Audi RS3. For more videos like it, be sure to subscribe to our channel, ring the notification bell, and be sure to check out carbuzz.com for my full written review of the 2022 Audi RS3. I'll see you next time.